Well, as I said, I think that the first thing that will need to happen is to have that process in place to decide how you're going to choose your negotiations team, and then follow that process. There are a number of ways to do it, but we will have some kind of process in place where, in some chapters we elect negotiations team. Some chapters they are appointed, but in all of the chapters there's an approval process for the negotiations team. And in other words, even at our campus, if the president appoints, the chapter chair appoints the negotiations team, it still has to be approved by our executive board and our membership. It's not just done by presidential fiat. So I would recommend we do something like that to establish it, to ensure that the people who are being represented are comfortable with their representatives. However the City Colleges wants to do it, as I said, I'm not going to tell anyone how to do it, but we get people in the room to discuss the pros and cons of different ways of doing it, and then we decide on what that process is going to be.
But that approval process already exists, right? For city colleges as well, but that obviously it hasn't worked.
Right.
Well,
unfortunately, what I believe, and I could be wrong, but as I understand it, what exists is it says that the president of the union is the chief negotiator by decree, and I'm not sure that that's necessarily what you want to happen. And then, as I said, we should have that have a different system in place. I think it's time for that discussion. The other part of your question about ensuring transparency, Deb Baker and I, just 2 weeks ago, we helped teach a negotiations training session at Triton College. And one of the things that was discussed was what they were calling the 50-50 rule, which is that as a negotiations team, the expectation should be about 50% of your time is spent doing the actual negotiations. The other 50% of your time is informing the membership about the negotiations. And there was a whole list of discussions about how we do that, how you keep people informed about what's going on at the table, what is being discussed. That was part of the negotiations training that we just helped teach just 2 weeks ago. So I think that's the second part of it, that has to be part of any negotiations, making sure your memberships are informed and activated. As I said, we've got a lot of work to do. Our membership needs to be, we need to get our fair share of people signed up before any negotiations takes place. We've made some progress on that, but still some of our campuses are still weak on that area. We need to do a much better job. And we need to have our people feeling invested and motivated between them. And we can't be caught flat-footed with the membership. It shouldn't be just 7 people in the room deciding this. Our membership needs to know what's involved, need to have say on what they need. And as I've traveled this, I'm sorry for the long answer, but as I've traveled around some of these campuses, what I'm hearing particularly from city colleges is that our professionals and our part-time professionals are particularly feeling like their voices are not being heard. And that's why, again, I think we need a process that makes sure that they have ample input into any system that's put in place, because they really feel like they've been left out historically, not just today, not just last year, but for decades. They've felt like they are not getting their voices heard.